This video will be 6 different benefits of quitting coffee and caffeine. I have quit coffee many times in my life, and each time my health improves, my energy improves, my mood improves, and without fail, every time I go back to coffee, I lose these benefits. So these are going to be 6 specific things that I notice each time that I quit coffee and are motivating to stay away from it, as well as caffeine. The first is improved sleep. I believe this is a big reason for the other benefits because a lack of sleep can cause all sorts of side effects. Caffeine has a 5-hour half-life, which means that in 5 hours, roughly from when you last consumed, you will have half that amount still in your body. So an average day for me was 7 a.m., a cold brew coffee, which is 200 milligrams. At noon, that would be 100, and then I would usually have one extra coffee, which was 150 milligrams. This puts me at 125 milligrams at 5 p.m. and 62.5 milligrams at 10 when I would be trying to go to sleep. Studies show that it can affect circadian rhythm and reduce the amount of REM sleep that you have, which is the deep restorative sleep. For me, it was a vicious cycle of getting worse and worse sleep and needing more and more coffee, which would again affect my sleep negatively. Even limiting myself to one small coffee in the morning, I still had negative effects and not optimal sleep. And for me, the proof that my sleep suffers is that every time I quit, for at least 1 week, I have extreme sleepiness and I can sleep up to 12 hours and need naps throughout the day to recover my energy. And the low energy can last for up to 1 to 2 months until it starts to actually come back to normal. Number 2 is less anxiety and less reactive to stress. This was one of the main benefits of quitting, was having less anxiety. I noticed there were highs and lows when consuming coffee, and that immediately after I would feel extremely good, almost manic, but then this would go away very quickly and then I would start to feel the lows. And it was normal for me to get into arguments pretty shortly after having a coffee or an energy drink. And then looking back, these arguments were completely useless and they weren't necessary to have, and it was related to that coffee. And eliminating that, I noticed these stopped. And this could also be related to poor sleep, but the caffeine does increase your stress hormones and cause me to be on edge constantly. After about a week of being off coffee, my anxiety was quite a bit lower, but this continued to get better over the next 1 to 2 months. Number 3 is more energy, which seems counterintuitive because coffee gives you energy, but it doesn't give you energy for free. You are pretty much borrowing from your future self and robbing yourself of sleep for that night. This benefit can take a while to see because your body has to replenish its energy store and its nutrition store, which can be depleted by caffeine. Coffee depletes vitamin B1, which is important in energy production, so supplementing with thiamine can be helpful for 1 to 3 months while you go through the withdrawal phase. And coffee increases dopamine, so also when you're quitting, you can feel very lethargic, which will pass, but it takes longer than you would think. Rather than a week, think more like 1 to 2 to 3 months. But something you can do to speed this process up is take tyrosine, which is the precursor to dopamine and the other stress hormones. This is something I found helpful, was 500 to 1,000 milligrams of the L-tyrosine. Number 4 is decision making. Consuming coffee regularly made me feel like I was getting a lot done, but in reality, I was just doing busy work and not actually being productive. Once I quit, I found myself getting a lot more actual stuff done that I needed. I noticed too, I would agree to a lot of things that in hindsight weren't good decisions, like with work. After having a coffee, a lot of things sounded like a good idea that weren't. And every time I go back to consuming coffee and caffeine, my life overall starts to fall apart, which affects relationships, finances, all different parts. And the experiment they did with spiders, where they had them build webs on different drugs, including caffeine, is a good parallel to the life that I would have when I was on caffeine versus off. It was very busy and stressful, but there would be no order to it. And giving this up, things would start to fall into place much easier. Number 5 is better digestion. Coffee has always caused digestion issues for me. And even though it does speed up digestion, which is why people take it in the morning to go to the bathroom, it does this by pushing things through your colon faster and not allowing you to fully digest things or get all the nutrients from what you eat, which I noticed after quitting. I had a lot less cravings for sweets in the nighttime, and just digestion overall felt better after quitting. Number 6 is kind of a small one, but I noticed I had better skin quality off of caffeine. I think this is because of the diuretic effect, which can cause you to have dry skin. I noticed this after about a month of quitting. Just to finish up, a quick timeline that you can look at. It's different for everybody, but a lot of people will consume caffeine and then quit. And if you Google how long the withdrawals take, it can say 2 to 9 days roughly. And in my opinion, that's not enough time to notice the benefits. You will get the acute symptoms of caffeine, like headaches will go away within 3 to 5 days. Your anxiety will generally reduce after about a week. But to get the actual energy and motivation, it can take a lot longer. For me, it was about 3 months. This can be longer or less depending on how much caffeine you consumed. I was not consuming a crazy amount, probably 300 milligrams a day. So if you're more than that, you can give yourself a longer timeline. But just know that for me, this was 100% worth it, and it was a life-changing thing that I did. But it was pretty crappy going through that phase of not having any energy, not having any motivation. But if you can stick through it and get to 1 month, 2 months, you will start to feel better and see the benefits. And then generally these will go up and up and up until you hit a baseline after 3, 4, 5 months. So if you suffer from anything like anxiety, any skin issues, digestion, anything like that, I think this can be very beneficial. So give it a try, or leave any comments if you've experienced any of these side effects.